So I'm not sure about y'all, but down here in Florida, I've talked to a lot of people in the real estate market. Some people have told me that it's a great time to buy. Other people told me that it's a not so great time to buy. So naturally, me, I'm teetering and tottering on the fence. I was not too sure myself. But when I posed this question to Brian Grimes, who joined us today for the podcast interview, he told me that ultimately both answers are correct. And so my inquisitive mind instantly went off. And I'm just thinking, well, how can two things be true? How can two things coexist simultaneously? And man, when I tell you Brian did a great job of explaining that, he surely did. And you're definitely going to want to grab a pen, grab something to take notes with, and really tap into 24/7 Cashflow University and everything he's doing, not only in the Philadelphia area, but surrounding areas to really change the game, really not only for people, but really for the real estate market in general. So how can you be a part? How can you make change? How can you get involved in real estate in any capacity when you're unsure of where to start? Well, I'll tell you one thing. Brian does go live on LinkedIn every Monday. So tap into this episode to find out how, where, when, and why. So without further ado, enjoy episode 147, God, Family, Real Estate. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Down to Business podcast here with Tamar Turner. Big shout out to Carson. Big shout out to the Kitcaster team over there for really curating this interview, getting everything together. But even bigger shout out to Brian, one, for wanting to be on the platform. But I love a quick turnaround. I love when things are just smooth sailing, no confusion or anything like that. So I would say so far this process has definitely been all of that and more. So very excited, one, for Brian to give y'all everything that he has today. I was very intrigued by the name of his business, and I was kind of going through the LinkedIn, going through the website and everything like that. So I think once y'all hear it, something will pique your interest, something will tap your mind or tell you to want to tap in. So I'm excited for Brian to give y'all, one, more about himself, but two, more about what he does and with his business. So one, Brian, how's everything on your end? How you doing today?
Good. Busy, good. They say the reward for good work is more work. So
Okay.
just being busy.
As long as it's a good type of busy, we like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
the reward for good work is more work. I'm gonna have to tap that one in there. But all right, so honestly, I know that we're gonna have some people from your side. I know we're gonna have some people from my side, and I know in between we'll probably have some new people tapping into us both along the way. So just to bring everybody up to speed, to get everybody on the same page, can you, one, just tell me a little bit about yourself, and then two, can you just tell us what brings you on the Down to Business podcast today?
Yeah. So I'm Brian Grimes. I'm a real estate developer. Grew up in Philly, basketball, kid during that Allen Iverson era. Grew to be about 6'5", 6'6" at 13, 14. Nationally ranked. First game against they flew us out to Akron, Ohio to play LeBron. First high school game. And basketball took me around the world. Landed me at Columbia University, where I got exposed to a lot of great business minds and became essentially an entrepreneur. Started off in financial planning, managed money for millionaires, and worked at a startup and saved all of my money the whole time to drop it into real estate, buy and hold rental properties to build cash flow and really break free from the 9 to 5. And, what brings me here today is really sharing that message on how you can break free from the 9 to 5 with cash flowing real estate, the best strategies that work today, how to navigate tough markets, which is a interesting concept for today. A lot of people are afraid of the market, but I'm not, because I know how to navigate any market. So I bring that knowledge and those resources and systems to our community. Is really why I'm here.
I love that. Not that I wasn't listening to everything you said, but once I heard Philly, you was good with me. That's where I was born in New York, raised in Philly. So
Yeah.
big shout out to you. Big shout out to, basketball and being able to just move around and seeing LeBron. I know you had quite the history, quite the stories to tell growing up and everything like that.
Yeah.
So, now, something that kind of first caught my interest was you said that once you started getting involved working with these startups, getting in the financial industry and everything like that, you originally just started saving. And one, that
Yeah.
may have just been a habit of yours, that may have just been something you wanted to do, but you also followed that up with saying that you saved to then help you propel into real estate. So when you were working with these startups, when you were kind of building your portfolio resume, if you will, really just setting that foundation for yourself, did you always know, was real estate always on the map for you? Did an opportunity kind of come across and you took advantage of it? Were you always saving for real estate, or did it just so happen that you just kind of put your coins towards that?
No, that's a great question. So my best friend, we will always talk like every day, right? Like you would with any of your best friends. But he was in the real estate. He was a couple years older than me, graduated before me, and he was reading like the Donald Trump books and all the real estate books at that time you could get your hands on. And he had purchased maybe 2 or 3 Section 8 like rental properties, bought them, did a little cosmetic renovation, and then would put in Section 8 tenants. So we were always talking about how real estate is the way out. We both hated the 9 to 5 concept. And so from day one, when I was working, I would be listening to things like Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar and some of these guys who would have these concepts of paying yourself first. 10% of everything you earn should be paid to you first, put in a separate account for investment purposes. So from day one, I started off working 100% commission straight out of college, and any commission check I would get, which I only made 6,000-7,000 my first year, I was putting in a separate account to invest in real estate. So that was always the focus. And another focus was, while I was working at these places, I wasn't really working for the money. I mean, I definitely needed the money, right? Because I was broke, but I was working for the knowledge. I was actually watching the founders or the owners of the company and how they were communicating, how they were establishing their business systems and running their practice. And I wanted to take that with me and apply it to my own real estate operation. And that's exactly what I did.
I hear a lot of things in that. One, I just hear that you did some research, that you paid attention, you were really looking, you were thinking, but you were also thinking a step ahead. You were thinking long term. And I feel like for me, at this point in my life, that's really something that I'm doing. I'm making decisions. I'm living my everyday life. I'm showing up. But even with the podcast, when I'm thinking about content, I'm thinking ahead. I'm thinking months ahead, even years ahead. Even with financial decisions and choices that I'm making, even with my job and just opportunities that come across, I really started to think long term, because yes, it's always important to focus on what's in front of you, what's ahead, but you also have to think about these decisions that you're making, this money that you're saving, just education that you're getting. Where is this going to be useful? How long is it going to be useful? Will it still be useful 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Will I have to adjust? And it's good that you're always just doing research and staying on the up and up, because things change. I'm sure you've seen that firsthand, just from the market to real estate to the knowledge to how it's so populated right now. So, but what I also hear in that too is that on top of everything that you were doing, it took discipline. It's not just something that you can, because 10%, I think about all the checks that I've received, jobs that I've made, everything like that. I think that if I could have just, because 10% is not much. It's really not, when you really think about it, from the checks that we get, especially if you work in commission on top of a salary, it can be done. But I also think about the discipline. I also think about when some months are tighter than others, when some fun you want to have it comes around, or when some opportunities come across your belt, you want to spend a little bit extra, or maybe say, okay, we'll do 8 this week or 7 this week or something like that. So to really keep that discipline throughout, that's amazing. And it really will pay you dividends in the long run. So, okay, where would you really say this notion for you came from, of just wanting to get away from the 9 to 5? Was it a bad 9 to 5 experience? Did you just always know you wanted to kind of move in that business owner entrepreneurial route? Was it something that kind of went off in your head and you said, you know what, I can really pay myself, and I can really, if I stay disciplined, if I stay true to the plan, I can really make this happen and not have to fund anyone else's dreams?
Yeah. Well, my parents were entrepreneurs. Both my mother and my father, they all both kind of ran their own businesses throughout their life. My brother was very entrepreneurial as well. So I just knew I was meant for more. I kind of had that feeling, and a lot of us have that voice in the back of our head. We just don't listen to it, that I'm meant for more. But we don't trust it. We won't take that leap of faith. But I also had mentors, like one of my favorite mentors. He's like business partners with, the Jay-Z's, Alicia Keys, TD Jakes, Magic Johnson. Like, he does big commercial real estate deals all over the country. And he gave me a book when I was in my early 20s, 24, 25. And it just had like 50 business principles with pictures. And I think it was like principle 7. It was a picture of a guy standing at the top of a mountain, and below him are just clouds, because he's so high up, he's above the clouds. And then it just had a couple of words. It said, jump and a net will appear. And he really focused me on that one. And he's like, look, the net is so far down that you can't even see it. It's beneath the clouds. But if you jump and bet on yourself, the net will appear. It'll catch you. It'll bounce you back up. And that really stuck with me, because that is the entrepreneur's journey. It is really trusting the game, trusting the process, but you have to jump first before the net can appear. You'll never be able to see it where you're at. And a lot of us don't trust. We think that we're the only oddball out of the universe that won't be caught by that net, but it catches everybody. If you trust the process, if you're locked in, it catches everyone. So that it was really mindset that pushed me over the top. But, definitely having those mentors helps.
I would say a lot of that leap of faith it more so goes hand in hand too with that walk by faith and not by sight. A lot of times with this journey, like you said, we stay comfortable, we stay complacent. We know that we can wake up and clock into that job. That's always going to be there for us. But we don't know one day what opportunity awaits us if we put in that 2 weeks notice. We don't know one day if we just take that leap and bet on ourselves or start saving 10% until I can get up out of there and make something happen. You're right. We don't.
Yeah.
We always just want to be able to look down, look through those clouds and see, oh, okay, I see exactly where that net is at. Not just, wow, I don't see anything there. If I jump, I'm falling.
Yeah.
Despite everything around you, mentors, resources, everything that's telling you, this can happen. And I think you also made a great point too, that we just think it's us. We just think that we're just in such a unique situation that nobody else has taken this leap of faith.
Exactly.
But even in a lot of the people who I've talked to on the podcast, I hear what they say. I hear the principles that they live by. I hear the mantras and the persistence and the consistency and the hard days, tough days. And then I go listen to these interviews that are published and everything of the sort. They're saying the same exact thing.
Yeah.
They're saying their journey. They're saying how it took 10 plus, 15 plus, 20 plus, how even when they are established or we may know of them, they're still working, they're still grinding, they're still taking L's, they're still having to deal with different things, business partners, everything of the sort. So I love that. And I love that perspective just because it's not just us, but will you allow it to just be you? Will you psych yourself out? And I feel like a lot of times we do that. We become so comfortable and just accepting of the norm that anything outside of that, anything that challenges that plan, it scares us a little bit. So
it is fear too. A lot of us, we don't look. I was lucky because I was working 100% commission, so I got to understand how money was made. Money is made from energy. So if you show up to work every day, even if you're commissioned, if you put out energy into your work, there's a 2-month delay before the money comes in. Typically, with a job, they just pay you a steady check, but they still are dealing with that 2-month delay from your production. So once I learned that, I was like, oh, well, if I apply my energy to real estate, there's going to be some form of delay. Most people will burn out in that delay and quit. But if you stick with it, the money's going to come back in from the energy and the activity of you showing up. That's how the money is really being made. Having a 9-to-5 check almost blinds you of this transaction that's happening. But once you become aware of it, you'll understand you could go and do anything you want. And, that money's going to come in. So it's definitely there.
I love that. Now, when it comes to real estate specifically, when it comes to you and thinking about your journey and really getting in, were there any drawbacks? Were there any second guessing of yourself? Was there anything that you were nervous about? Had you done some research and maybe read some things or maybe got a couple of just reviews from other people that kind of steered you away a little bit? Or were you really just thinking about the foundation that you built, the money that you saved, the people who you had around you, and really just going all in and just not looking back after that?
I think it was being more fearless. Like I was more afraid of being stuck in a 9-to-5 than I was of even, failure, of bankruptcy. So I'm a different type of person with that, right? Like bankruptcy, I'm like, all right, you file, your credit will be jacked for 5 months, 5 years, 7 years, you bounce back. And this is how, by the way, the big capitalists, the big wealthy people, this is how they think. They don't care. They're not afraid of what you're afraid of. So you're afraid of your reputation amongst your broke friends. And they're just like, we don't care. America was formed on debt. I'm going to get into as much good debt as possible, which is debt that can yield cash flow to you. And they don't worry about it. The worst case is they'll file bankruptcy, they'll start over. But the knowledge, there's something called portable equity. This was another thing that this mentor gave to me. He said, there's something called portable equity. And portable equity is something that you take with you when you leave the 9-to-5. So he said there's things like, let's say you get a job and you get like a credential. You become a CFP or you get some type of cert and the job pays for it. When you leave the job, it's portable. It goes with you. So I was always looking for those things that were portable. And there's nothing that's more portable, than real estate. So it's the ultimate portable equity. You have to be more afraid of staying the same than you are of things like bankruptcy or even failure. So you have to have that fearlessness to go out. And that was always part of my mindset.
And that's a great mindset to have. That's really just eliminating a lot of that outside noise, a lot of what other people are thinking, you put it into a good perspective that America was built on debt. So why are we mad or why are we nervous or why are we apprehensive about perhaps going into debt or not accumulating good debt? Because I do think that that's a very important and interesting thing just the same. So, okay, now 24/7 Cashflow University. A very unique name, something that caught my eye, something I'm sure will catch other people's eyes. So in really constructing this, in birthing this, in setting the foundation and everything for this, Walk me through that process. What was that really like? When did you know that you kind of wanted to brand this way? When did you know that you wanted to give that information and pass along things to other people, from just starting the journey, from paving the path to success? Just some things I came across on the website. So when you were thinking about, and when you were really branding this into a business, what was that journey? What was that process like?
Yeah, I mean, it was when you're having success. Like I went on back in Philly, where we're we both have big roots, and I built over 250, 300 properties in Philly in about 5 to 7 years with my development company. So I had that experience of rebuilding my neighborhood, that I grew up in the C class, North Philly, all around Temple University, Southwest Philly, and all these different Germantowns and Mount Airy's and just everywhere, right? And then I look and, when you're having success, people are reaching out to you. They want to pick your brain. They want to take you to lunch and a cup of coffee. But you can't give somebody a decade's worth of game over a lunch or a cup of coffee. It just doesn't work that way. It's not enough time and it's not dedicated. There's not a focus to it. So I said, well, one, how can I have more impact? Now that I've achieved this, what's my next step? Do I go out and do 3,000 properties? And to me, the answer was, to have a bigger national impact, I have to build 1,000 developers. I have to build 1,000, and most of that minority developers who can go back into their community and rebuild their own neighborhoods and do this similar thing. And in that process of building them, we can rebuild all of these communities nationally. So to have that national impact, I knew that that was what I had to do. Now, outside of that, it was really just dedicating this program. So going into the Batcave, putting together the process of saying, like, if I started from zero, no houses, no money, no knowledge, which is where I started essentially, how could I get here faster and more efficiently without making all the mistakes? So I built out that program with me in mind. Like, if I was starting me at 22, what would I need to know? How could I become more successful? And I just built that program. And as I started to put it out there and get it in front of people, the reviews were insane. We even have a program now where my Boots on the Ground program, where we build houses for people in Philly. So people from all over the country, even outside of the country, we're helping them to buy properties. We're full gut renovating it for them, connecting them with lenders, and we're building houses for people in Philly. Like right now, I'm building like 10 houses for people right now. So it's definitely taken off.
As somebody who is very interested in, one, getting into the real estate space, but two, really bringing it to my hometown of Philly. Oh, this interview was right on time. I need that. I love that. But I also love what you said about getting in the back cave, getting in the lab. And I feel like sometimes that part of the process is so often overlooked, about how, Brian just didn't pop up one day just successful, just rich, just really making it happen, just being able to do he talked about 5 to 7 years and how many properties that was along that way. Well, I'm sure along that 5 to 7 years, there was a lot that happened, a lot that transpired, a lot that could have happened that didn't happen, a lot that maybe didn't happen because it didn't need to happen. But there was a lot of trench work. There were a lot of long nights, sleepless nights, early mornings, everything like that, back and forth, losing things, losing money, having to spend more money, taking a risk. And I see you nodding, so you know what's going on. So I often really feel like, wow, a lot of times, like, people, they only see the end of the tunnel, that light, and they don't really see you navigating through that darkness. They don't really see you pickaxing through all of that. They don't really see what's above those clouds, what you're really looking down onto, and it's a part of the process. But I think that that's amazing, and I think the fact that you were even thinking about that, really you almost take a part of the process away for the people to make it easier, and you do everything for them. And I feel like, especially in the day of automation and just the how we are living now, how we're navigating through life, people love that and people want that. Okay, so let's tap a little bit further into that. So for someone with no real knowledge in real estate, probably not even maybe the money that they would like to have to maybe start investing, from what they read, from what Google said, from what this guru said offering this master class or anything like that, what do you tell people who don't really know where to start, who know that they want to be involved, who know that they want to invest, who know that they may want to Airbnb something or commercial something or rent something out, especially in Philly with the duplexes and the triplexes, they're so big. What do you say to somebody who really has no knowledge base, who's kind of on Google, on the YouTube, finding all these classes and doing everything, but ultimately there's so much information out there that they don't really know where to hone in and where to really start building that foundation?
Yeah, one, you have to trust your gut and your intuition more than ever. So there's a lot of nonsense. I would say if you see a guy standing in front of a Lamborghini, or on a yacht telling you this is where to get started, just skip, because a lot of that is they're trying to push your pain. They're trying to profit from your pain, where you're at, and showing you where they are. Use your intuition. Find a mentor that meshes with you, where you at least have that initial, I think this guy is legitimate. I think he's different from what I'm seeing out here. Start with knowledge. There's two things in real estate. There's money and there's knowledge. The less you have of one, the more you need of the other. So if you're starting off, what I mean by that is if you're starting off with absolutely no money, then you need way more knowledge. Because if you have knowledge of how to go out and execute on deals, how to do everything, how to put the teams together, what a full gut renovation is, what the costs are, the money will appear. You'll find 5 buddies who want to invest in real estate who got 50 grand in their 401ks, or they have money somewhere, and the money will appear. Now, if you have a ton of money, you don't need any knowledge because you can just go blow all your money and figure it out, right? So you don't need it. You'll just lose $500,000 trying to figure it out. So you have those two things. But I would start with mentorship. It starts with mentorship because it's cheaper. What they don't tell you about the school of hard knocks, everybody who makes it successfully, they say, well, what did you do? Well, I learned from the school of hard knocks. So you think, oh, that's a great school. I want to take it. What they don't tell you is the school of hard knocks is 100 times more expensive than mentorship. Mentorship, typically, you could get into the average mentorship program for, let's call it $2,000 to $5,000, like a couple grand, right? The school of hard knocks will cost you $500,000 to $1 million. You're going to make that many mistakes in something like real estate. So if you're smart, you will choose mentorship over the school of hard knocks. You'll just learn from somebody else's $1 million of mistakes and kind of move on.
I hear you, because even in some of the people who I've talked to, even in some of those classes, those things like that, they will be transparent with you and they will tell you a lot of times what happened or that they lost or didn't that. But I also do really like what you said about a lot of people try to profit from your pain or where you're not at or anything like that. And they'll give you all that flashy, nice backgrounds, nice cars, boats. They'll get you to the finish line, but they won't really show you everything that happened in between, the stumbles, the trips, the fails, when you wanted to quit the race and really just turn around and start backtracking. So I like that, but I also like that knowledge and that money part, because I often feel like, somebody may really come in here, all this money, all this, I just want to drop it here, drop it there. And if you really don't know where to start, like you said, you could blow it back for no reason. You can find somebody who's not really having your best interest in mind, but could take advantage of you because you're not sharp on the knowledge side. And before you know it, it's gone. It's over with. It's just like that. Okay, so I'll take it a step further than now. So we're getting into things. We're learning some more things. Maybe we're becoming a little bit more comfortable in the real estate market. For somebody coming across your website, wanting to book a consultation, wanting to really figure out more of what y'all do, wanting more to really figure out how to, one, not only increase their cash flow, maintain it, stay consistent, stay disciplined, everything like that. What can they expect when tapping in with you and the team?
Yeah, I mean, what I focus on is one-on-one mentorship, and that's very different. I pride myself on being different and really just helping people, because there's a lot of people and talking heads out here, and most of them don't help anybody. They put out a group course, it's cookie cutter, they don't spend any time with their people, and nobody gets results. To me, it's like, well, what's the point of that? It doesn't really mesh with my objective, which is to build developers who can build communities. So I spend one-on-one time with my people, which is unique. They truly have access to me, not just like some higher level assistant. And what I found is if you pull people off of YouTube University and Google University, a lot of people, they're spending hours, 4 or 5 hours a day down rabbit holes of nonsense information from people who've done 5 to 10 deals. When you've done 5 to 10 deals, you know a little bit, but you don't even know what a guy who's done 100 deals knows. Because when you do 100, you've seen it all. Now, when you do multiple hundreds, you've seen even more than all. Like you've kind of seen it twice and then backwards and sideways. So you can really help somebody to get, to that next level. So you get accountability, but more than even accountability, you get access to somebody who's done hundreds of deals and who can fast track you. So now a 5-hour rabbit hole is a 2-minute text back and forth. And having that, it's all about acceleration. If there's one thing that all of us are playing with that's the same, it's time. We all have the same amount of time in a day. So if we're being less efficient with it than other people, we're gonna lose. But if you're in a mentorship program where you can get your time accelerated, you're gonna go faster than the competition because you're gonna grow. With me, typically in 90 days, you'll kind of brush your teeth, wake up, look in the mirror and you just won't recognize yourself. You'll be like, wow, I actually know everything. And when you know everything that you need to know, the only thing left is action. All your excuses, all your doubt beliefs, all of these different things, they're gone. It's just action now because you have the knowledge. So it's fun watching that transformation for people and seeing the results that come with it.
I love that. And what that also says too is that these people actually want it, because a lot of times we'll book these consultations, we'll book these things, and we won't do the follow ups. We won't do the work. We'll sit there on the call, attentive, write the notes, and then after we get off, we close the book. We never really look at it again. You have to be diligent about that. The same effort and ways that you would put it into your brand, your social media, just social life, going out, traveling, anything like that. You have to do that with this, because this will allow you to propel and devote more time and energy to that. If you're efficient with your time now, then think long term, think long game. And that's where I really started to realize my decisions had to be different. I was on the YouTube. I was going down these rabbit holes. I was doing this. I was taking all these notes, pages and pages of notes, and not tapping back into it, or not playing the video again, or something else came up, and then, or I found another person talking about the same thing that just appealed to me more. And I would just keep going through that process over and over again. But it wasn't until I really sat down and said, yo, focus on one thing, find somebody who I can resonate with, who's meeting me where I am. And now I can really start to move and propel and groove. And once I did that, it was like you want to live, breathe, and eat. Like, you wake up and that's what you want to do. You want to talk about that. Now, okay, I heard you kind of touch on it at the beginning of the interview. And this is something that's it's been on my mind for a little bit. So I'm glad we can talk about it now. Now, I'm living in Florida. I'm hearing that basically we recently moved at the top of the year. It was crazy trying to find just a place to live out here, from townhouses to houses, to people telling us not to buy, to people telling us to wait, people telling us to keep renting until you figure it out, people telling us, no, don't rent. You go there, you do what you got to do. People keep saying, wait for the market to crash. The market is bad right now. You can't do anything. So for everyone, how do we navigate within a bad market? Because I've talked to so many different people who have acted as if there's no success out here. Nothing is going to happen. You just need to wait. We need to par the course, get what you can get. If you got to overpay a little bit, overpay. If they're telling you that's the right price, then that's the right price. It's not changing. But then on the other end, I talk to so many people who are like, bro, this is the time for opportunity. This is it now.
Yeah.
So much out here that they're literally calling you. But if you don't know where to start, where to go, what to do, then yes, all these other people will scare you and tell you to wait on the crashes or wait for something like that. You can take advantage of this and be on the back end ahead of the crash. So from me to you, from you to us, and down to business, and everybody tapping in, what is really a bad market, and how do we navigate through it? How do we eliminate all of that fear to really be successful when it's all said and done?
Yeah. So the answer is they're both right. The market is always good and it's always bad. And the answer is you have to know how to navigate it. Part of navigating it is knowing how to analyze deals. I have that on the whiteboard. I'm doing a live session tonight, on that. How do you analyze a deal in any market? What do you have to look at in terms of metrics? But here's the hardcore answer. The reason that you're getting that information is because you have one-dimensional people. So what I found is most real estate investors are one-dimensional. They're the Airbnb guy. And here's how your mentors are as well. You got the Airbnb guru. If you got a bedroom, you should be renting it out, right? You got that guy. Then you got the buy and flip guy. Everything's a buy and flip. Then you got the buy and hold guy. Then you got the creative financing guy. Then you got the tax lien guy. Oh, we'll just invest in the paper, right? So you have all these guys. And the truth is they're all wrong because they all have one strategy. And when the market changes, see, the market it's never fixed. It's like a river. If you can't step in the same river twice because it's always running, right? The market is just like that. So what happens is this one strategy, Airbnb, is good until it gets oversaturated, and then there's market regulation, and then it's dead. But if you're one dimensional and that's all you have, you'll never get in or out at the right time. You actually have to have all of those strategies available to you. You need knowledge of multiple strategies. So now you can enter the market and navigate it. So you're saying, well, how do I navigate a bad market? You need options. You need strategies. You need multiple touch points. You need to be a buy and flipper because it's hot to buy and flip right now. Then when it's not, you can go straight into buy and hold and pivot because you know the cost of construction, you know full gut renovation, you know how to buy low, you have a wholesale network you're tapped into, you have lenders that are flexible. Then if both of those dry up, maybe you get into creative financing, subject to lease purchase options, and you start doing that type of thing. So it's truly learning about multiple disciplines that will unlock you in any of these markets and show you the opportunity in any market. But this is where most programs and most mentors fail their people, either knowingly or unknowingly. They just completely fail their people because they're teaching a dimensional strategy, and eventually that strategy is going to dry up, and it will always, for them, kind of blindside them because they're not even looking at other opportunities. And that's what I found. So I teach my people everything. When you come into my master class, I'm trying to make you a master investor so that you can follow a philosophy of investing and say, well, I want to buy and hold, but within that, I may do a couple flips here to create capital to then park over here. I may also do things like invest out of town. What systems do I need to invest in Cleveland or Baltimore or Detroit or Philly or upstate New York? How do I go where the market is better because my market is dry? That's also having multiple strategies. That's called an out of town strategy versus an in your backyard strategy. So it's about having these multiple facets. Think of it as like a basketball guy who can shoot the three, cross you over, jump over you, defend you. He's a two-way player. Everybody wants him on the court. He doesn't even have to score because he can lock down the other team's best defender. You have to make yourself multi-dimensional, and you can navigate any game, any arena. It's just like that.
That was a gem. And I like that you tied in something else because people are quick to say, oh, well, he's just talking about real estate. Or
No, I'm talking about life.
This is life. Literally, you have to be a Swiss Army knife. You have to be versatile. You have to. And man, if when you weren't saying that, I'm just in my head thinking about some of the videos and some of the courses that I watched. And I'm like, all they did was talk about one thing. One thing into your head over and over and over and over again. And the first question you said was, well, what happens when that strategy dries up? What happens
of course.
when that dry? You're done. New course now. Now I got to go to another guru. And it took me 2 gurus to get 2 different strategies when I could have got multiple from one. And I think that that's so important because, man, are we just like so all eggs in one basket? We just want to throw every risk into one thing. And it's just like, no. Dabble a little bit here, dibble a little bit here, move a little bit over here. That way, one, you're not only accumulating the knowledge, but you know when to move. Like he said, the market is never going to stay the same. Depending on how you're looking at it, you could think it's horrible. But to somebody else, their eyes are dollar signs because they just see, oh, I got another strategy. All right, let me put this on the back burner right now. Here we go. Let's move this way with it. So I love that, but I love that you're implementing that, but I also love how you tied it into something else. He tied it into sports, y'all. So obviously you can tie it into your industry. I can tie it into the podcast. I can tie that's like me only focusing on one niche. To everybody out there, imagine if I just talked to one set of business owners, people in clothing, fashion. Well, y'all would get tired and y'all would just feel like, okay, well, where's the beauty? Where's the chefs? Where's the real estate? Where's the healthcare? Where's the everything like that? So you have to be able to dibble and dabble. You have to be able to get different gems, different ideas, different perspectives, and hear all of that. And then you tie it in all together because I feel like also too, that helps you understand just real estate more, knowing this strategy, knowing that strategy, knowing that strategy.
Exactly.
Oh, this works off of that. Well, this is one big, it all comes full circle. So I love that you focus on that. And I love how you answer that just because, yes, depending on how you're looking at it, depending on who you're talking to, could be right, you could be wrong. It could be something that's always ever changing. Now, you talked about something else you mentioned, upstate New York. So I got my master's up in upstate New York. So we're in the same area here, but that's also so out of town. Getting into buying or investing or even utilizing resources in areas that you're not. I always feel like, growing up and really just learning more about real estate, really learning everything that comes with it. I was always just like, okay, well, most of these people really have to do business operations where they are. But I've talked to a guy who's land flipping. He lives in San Diego. He's flipping all East Coast, Midwest.
Exactly.
He's never even touched California, he said. Now, How does that work for you? How is it that you're always able to not be at that place physically? But like you even said, you're buying, building, gutting, doing everything for people in Philly who want to be able to do that, who are there, and you don't even necessarily have to step foot there. How does that really work and still allow business to run as usual?
Yeah. So think about you go to an airport and you get on a plane. You sit down, maybe you're in business class, maybe you're in the back, you're squeezed up, or maybe you're in first class, right? And you think, hey, the captain of the ship, the guy who's flying this plane, he's brilliant, right? He's pulling all the levers and he's getting you from A to B and he's on the mic with you. But you know who's really running the show? Air traffic control. Some guy who's sitting behind a screen, he's got a bunch of monitors up. He's controlling 50 to 100 planes. And he's controlling them. Hey, I need you to move 10 degrees left, you're in the other lane. Like he's moving the ship. He's really controlling the commerce. Think about the guy who owns the airport. What's a big important part of that operation for the guy who owns this whole fleet of planes? His air traffic controller, because he can now get 100 planes where they need to go versus the pilot can only take one plane at a time from point A to point B. So when you start leveraging your smartphone and other people who are boots on the ground on the East Coast and you're in San Diego, you can now air traffic control from San Diego other people who are pilots within that area who are moving around. It could be an inspector, it could be a contractor, it could be a architect, an engineer, a permit expediter. It could be all these different resources. So it's just building. Here's what I tell people: you're only 6 degrees of separation from somebody's nephew, brother, cousin who's sitting on the couch who needs some beer money. Right? And they got a smartphone. Everybody got an iPhone. So you give them an extra $20 per site visit. That's 3 visits a week. That's $60 a week. That's $250 a month. And they can show up and be the physical representation of you on a job site. And guess what? Everybody who's working knows you're behind the camera, the boss who's writing the checks. So now you have a physical representation of you running around a city out of town, and you control them independently of anyone else. So they're not paid to hide if the construction is not going smoothly from you, because they're paid independently of the construction. Stop trying to use the contractor to give you updates because they're incentivized to not, right? So it's starting to build these out of town systems, cameras, boots on the ground inspectors, and different relationships and national lenders. This is how I built my operation. I built over 250, 300 properties in Philly while living in New York. And as I started to scale up, I started going to Philly less and less and sitting behind the air traffic control in the Batcave more and more because I was getting more done remotely. And that was an eye opener to me. I thought I had to be there because when you watch Property Brothers, you see a guy standing there with a camera on him, slinging a hammer, doing it himself. That's TV. That's entertainment. That's not how this is done in 2023. And also, why be around in 2023 if you're not going to leverage the technology? You might as well have been born 50 years ago when there was no technology. So you have to wake up to where we're at now and where this thing is going. And you start to eliminate these mental barriers. I just talked to a guy last week. Oh, I live out in the mountains of North Carolina. I'm 2 hours away from Charlotte. I want to invest in Charlotte, but I can't. I'm too tired. What do you think? I said, Charlotte, North Carolina is one of the biggest college towns in the country. Wake Forest, UNC, Duke, like NC State. Are you kidding me? You got 200,000 college students. You can't get one guy who wants some beer money? Like, come on. You got to stop putting imaginary barriers in front of your success and then living by them. It's just, to me, it makes no sense. But that's it. It's all this concept and then tapping it into real estate and you can unlock yourself.
And it's just crazy how you're speaking towards just real estate now, but everything that you're saying and everything that you're tying in is so universal. It can be whether you're a 9-to-5 or whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a podcaster, business owner, anything. And it really just, it's so eye-opening to me, mind-blowing to me, because it's just like, wow, like he's not saying anything that can't be done. He's not saying anything that he didn't do. He's not saying anything that he's not going to continue to do. Like one of the biggest points and something I stress here so much on the podcast, staying up with the times. Recognizing that it can't always be your way or the highway. Yes, this could be something that was your bread and butter at one point. Brought you a lot of views, brought you maybe your best client, best month, best sale, whatever the case may be. We're always changing. Look at AI. Look at Apple just had they were revealing all the products and everything that's going on. Look at some of the stuff that we were talking about 10 years ago that we thought, oh, never in a million years. That's happening right now, literally. So it's only going to get scarier. It's only going to be more adaptation, more flexibility as you continue to move throughout life. Okay, so I see the board in the background. I see the master class. You were telling me about that. You got some things coming up. I know that you're always working. Like you said, you really love that one-on-one, being able to propel, being able to really meet you where you are, resonate, and we go from there. So what's next? What can the people, because like I said, I know we're going to get some people from my side. I know we're going to get some people tapping in for the very first time who know nothing about Brian Grimes, who know nothing about 24/7 Cashflow University. So what can they expect when tapping in? What can they look forward to as we progress through the year? Q2 is almost over at this point. So what can people at all different levels, whether little to no real estate experience, getting into real estate but not really sure where to start, pretty comfortable about what they do. Man, let's invest. Let's make something happen. What can all those levels come together and really look forward to from your side of things?
I mean, the one thing people love about me is one, I don't hold back information. I just don't believe in it because I already know 90% of people won't do anything with information anyway. So what's the why waste your time holding it back? So I give you everything. We only talk facts. We talk deep real estate analysis. So not just layer one, but layer two, three, four. Just like I explain a concept here is how I explain real estate all the time. So you just get the unadulterated truth of real estate, what's going on, how to actually make money, true strategy that we're doing today. There's definitely, we do ride-alongs from time to time in Philly, so there's opportunities to get hands-on experience, but it's more of the same. Like I said, the reward for good work is more work. I know I'm doing good work because I'm watching my people. They say you will know somebody not by what they say but by their fruit. So I look at my people because the people I'm mentoring are my fruit, right? And when I see the fruit of their labor, the growth and them making money and them getting assets, that's how I know I'm doing the right work. I'm sowing the right seeds. So it's a family philosophy of mine. My father got from his mentor, who was a 400 meter gold medalist, 1968 Olympics. One of the guys who put up the black fist at the Olympics, right? And the family mantra is the main things to keep the main thing the main thing. There's a lot of distraction out here. There's a lot of bells and whistles and shiny things out here. We live in an immediate gratification society with this technology. My main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. The main thing is real estate. So when you tap into my channel, it's real estate all the time. You want drama, you want people talking about other people and all that, go watch that. When you're ready to tap into real estate, get educated, build legacy wealth for you and your family, break free from the 9 to 5, all you got to do is tap into my channel, tap into the YouTube channel, tap into the live calls. We're doing them every Monday night and stay locked in. But when you're here, it's all about real estate. By the time people join my mentorship program, I tell them, you've been sitting on the sidelines long enough. We're going to be on a one-on-one Zoom call in a couple days, and we're taking action. I'm not the non-action guy. You've already not taken action for years. By the time you get to me, it's on. Like we're doing it, and people love it. So that's what you expect with me. It's just how I am today is how I am every day. It's just go time. God, family, real estate. Like that's what it is.
In that order. Keep the main thing is keeping the
Main
main thing the
thing.
main thing. Oh, I like that. Hey, somebody on IG Live, y'all write that down. He giving crazy gems right now. So if you in and out of here, I feel bad for you. But no, I agree with that. I feel like we all reach a certain point in our life and our journey where it's just it has to be enough is enough. And I feel like with you, you realize that very early on. But the fact that you stayed so disciplined to it, the fact that you had amazing people around you to hold you accountable, just the same, because temptation is very real. Things happen. You want to go left, you want to go right a little bit. It happens. But once you really started to see the fruits of your labor, and then you build that and you pass that along to other people, and then you see that fruit really ripen and strengthen, and man, the sky's the limit. So, okay, for everyone out there, business owners, entrepreneurs, 9 to 5ers, real estate investors, developers, whatever the case may be, do you have any last words for them? Any even advice that you want to leave for people? Anything that you feel like we haven't touched on today that you feel like will be useful for those tapping into this episode?
Just stick with it. Bet on if you're going to bet on anybody, bet on you. Bet on yourself. And don't invest in mentors, invest in yourself. Don't invest in other people, invest in you. Invest in your education. The number one thing to invest in real estate is you, your education, making yourself better. When you make yourself better, the real estate around you will change. This was something I realized in a meditation recently. Your life can't change. Your life doesn't change. Nobody's life ever changes. The things around you change. Your life will never change though. But everything around you can change when you start to think differently and stay focused and put away vices and stay locked in. So it's just truly staying locked in on the mission, believing in yourself, and trusting the game. Everything will come together in its right time. Don't try to force this thing, and understand real estate's not going anywhere. So educate yourself first, save time, save money, be disciplined. Also, watch out for partnerships. Watch out for partnerships. A lot of us think partnerships are a shortcut. Um, Partnerships could be one of your biggest downfalls. And a lot of people will talk about this. Guys like Alex Hermosi, a lot of these guys will talk about, he said, I was watching him, he said, I did 8 partnerships and they all failed until I realized partnerships suck and I don't need them. And if you have access to mentorship, you don't need a partner. A partner will take half of your money. A mentor will take a couple grand to educate you. A partner is going to try to take half your money for life, and the cost of that is very high. So those things, but don't get me on a partnership rant, because this could be a whole nother podcast, essentially structuring that and how to
He
do
said,
it.
"Look, I got a whole nother spiel for
Yeah,
y'all when it comes to that." No, I think that's still important though, because I think, like you said, a lot of times people think bringing somebody else in the mix, adding somebody else to kind of half that, or you don't realize you're half in everything.
everything.
So when that work stifles off or rockets off or shoots off like that, or we gonna need half those results and half of those positive feedback. I'm gonna need all of that back. So just be careful about that. Sometimes if you just got to put in the extra grunt work for another quarter, another 6 months, another 90 days, whatever that looks like, it'll do you so much better in the long run when it's all coming
Facts.
back to you. And you only got to give a couple of mentors or people who kept you accountable, break them off a little something. At that point, that's nothing. It's because you want, and it's even really because you want to at that point. Everybody's eating. So, all right. So, one, I appreciate everything, the time, just the insight. I appreciate the call to action, because I'm big on that on the podcast. I'm big on just call everybody out, call me out, call my audience out, call the new people out, call your people out. I need it all. So, but arguably one of the most important things now is really giving you left the ball in people's court. It's up for them to now pick it up and do something with it. So, where are the best places to reach you when it comes to just social media, website, trying to tap into the masterclass, YouTube channel? Give us everything.
Yeah,
You
you
got.
can find me on LinkedIn, Brian Grimes Real Estate. You can find me on YouTube, Brian Loves Cash Flow. That's easy to remember because I love cash flow. So Brian Loves Cash Flow on YouTube, Brian Grimes _ 247 CFU on Instagram for the 24/7 Cash Flow University. So Brian Grimes _ 247 CFU. This all back channels to a free training that I have for you guys on www.workwithgrimes.com /cash flow, where it's a free training that'll show you how to acquire properties for pennies on a dollar all across the country. You don't want to miss out on that free offer. So make sure you guys tap in, lock in. We're doing free live trainings every week, live Q&A. I mean, it's the real deal, and it will take you to the next level. So definitely tap in.
And I feel like this is another special call out for all my Philly folks.
Yeah.
Come on now. Look, y'all want, I would say Philly and North Carolina, because you even mentioned North Carolina. So I went to undergrad in North Carolina in Greenville. So, but my sister lives in Raleigh. I do all my events in Charlotte. I love Charlotte. So I'm calling my North Carolina, my Philly people out. Look, he gave y'all the keys today. Are you going to pick it up? Are you going to put it in the door, start making some turns, start opening some things? Or like he said, are we just going to get this information? It's just going to go in one ear, out the other. You're just going to listen to it because you came from his side. You're going to listen to it because you came from the down to business side. And it's just another episode. The choice is yours. Because I know for me, I'm gonna be on the next live call. I'm gonna be in that free training, because I heard pennies on the dollar. I need that. So but Brian, I really appreciate it. I thank you for like I said, big shout out to Carson and the Kitcaster team for really curating all of this. But thank you, one, for the quick turnaround, two, just for the value, the knowledge, the insight, and really just everything that you're offering to everybody. Like you said, it's the information is out there. You're willing to give it. You're ready to talk the facts. It's up for people to really take advantage, really tap in, and then really stay with it. So to me, just commending your discipline, commending everything you're doing, and then still wishing you the best of luck moving forward. Big shout out to everything you're doing in Philadelphia and the surrounding areas, man. And I appreciate you. So to everybody who continuously taps in, whether you joined the live, came in and tapped in on the episode, I thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. This has been another episode of the Down to Business podcast. Here with Tamar Turner.